Good day. This video is going to go with the classification of matter video, and we're first going to look at separated materials, and then we'll look at some of the different properties. So for a pure substance, we've said it can only be altered by chemical changes. We have to rearrange how the chemicals combine or break apart. So elements, you cannot break them down further. You can chemically combine them to form compounds. Compounds can be broken down chemically. Sometimes that involves heat. You heat something up like potassium chlorate and it'll break apart into potassium chloride and oxygen. And you can also apply electricity and that may separate it into its elements. Mixtures can be separated by physical changes. No change in the individual's chemical properties, and that means there's no rearrangement of the elements or the atoms of the elements. Solutions separated by distillation, and they are formed by dissolving. And this is based on differences in boiling points. So if you had a mixture of something like water and ethanol and you heat it up, the ethanol will evaporate first because it has a lower boiling point. Suspensions are separated out by, hey, just letting it sit there, waiting for the denser material to come down. They're separated by filtration and they're separated by centrifuges. Mechanical mixtures, you can pick them apart. You might be able to use a sieve, or you might get lucky if there's something magnetic there and be able to use a magnet. Now let's look at some of the characteristics and properties and some of the differences between pure substances and mixtures. For density, pure substances have a fixed density. Mixtures aren't, because you may grab a sample in a mixture that is one part denser than another part, depending what chemical you actually grab. The melting point, boiling point, these things are going to be fixed. That's why they're called a point. It's a single temperature for a change of state, solid to liquid for a melting point, liquid to solid for freezing point, boiling point, liquid to gas, condensation point, gas to liquid. They're called a point, single temperature, and that's for pure substances. So when you look at the periodic table, you'll see that each element has a melting point listed and it has a boiling point listed. Now for a pure substance, the melting point will equal the freezing point and the boiling point will equal the condensation point. But mixtures don't have points. They don't change state at a single temperature. They do it over a range of temperature. So we talk about a melting range or a freezing range or a boiling range. So that's another way chemically you could see. You could take a sample and if let's say it's a solid sample, you could heat it up. And if suddenly the thermometer stops rising in temperature, that tells you it's a pure substance because it's melting at a single point. If you heat it up and it changes state, but there's no plateau, it doesn't flatten out, then that tells you that it actually was a mixture of some sort. So that's a follow-up. Hopefully it makes sense.